Hello, everyone. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Like my friend Anita Krishna in Canada, she worked for a global news or a big news network. She started to ask just regular questions. She's like, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? We're a news organization. Isn't that what we do as a news organization? And she got fired for that, of course.
Right.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. We're live at 5 on the West Coast. Thanks for joining me on this Wednesday. I usually have Wednesday off, and I thought, why not? Let's do a little live at 5, and we can talk about some of the events that have been happening in recent news. Now, so hopefully I've pressed everything and it's working okay, that you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Rumble. It's been a long time since I've rumbled, so welcome if you're watching over there. Okay, so I have a very special guest standing by, waiting in the wings. He's one of my favorite podcasters, I think, because I listen to him when I get ready for work in the morning, and he's just has such a calm way of speaking. And he has the type of videos that you could share with your normal friends, and they won't think you're crazy if you share the videos, because he's not crazy. At least I don't know if he's crazy. I don't know him that well. But joining me right now, you guys know him as Portuguese Pie, but you'll get to know him as Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. I hear you. I see you. I'm sure a lot of people that watch me, not that many, watch you and know you, right? So this is kind of fun. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for the invite.
Okay. So lots of little things that have happened. I was going to start with some things, but this has just happened within the last hour. And so I didn't actually prepare this too much, but I wanted to show everybody just a little bit of Mr. Badass, a Trump. You know, sometimes with these people, I don't know whether to believe they're good guys, bad guys, but when I see him in these Forbes press conferences taking different world leaders to task, it blows my mind. And so recently he talked to the South African president, and you can't pretend to know that you don't know what's happening to white South African farmers. And let's just play this tape a little bit, and then we can come back and talk about it. It's a minute long.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couples say that they were attacked violently. And
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter.
Well, that's just a little snippet of what happened. He actually showed video of, well, video that I haven't seen that part yet, but the South African president kind of pretended that he didn't know that this was even going on. This is pretty forthright. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen this clip that you just showed. I actually
Mhm.
saw the clip of him showing him the television
Right.
for like 4 or 5 minutes of this video, and the president of South Africa was trying to make it sound like, well, it's not just the white folk, it's all the farmers that are getting killed or being attacked. I don't know if he was trying to downplay the whole situation, but he obviously was trying to kind of get off the topic in general. And this is just days after we heard that the U.S. accepted about 50, I think, or 55 white South Africans as like refugees. So it seems like it's a pretty serious situation that's happening over there, but they clearly didn't want to talk about it.
No, he wanted to pretend that it didn't happen, but this is what I like about Trump is that he exposes these things. Like he'll bring Zelensky in and then talk about it, right? Like, and so we see this sort of transparency. You know, he'll bring the South African president in and say, "Look at this. Okay, what are we going to do about it?" So now they can't pretend that they don't know
Yeah,
anything.
it's pretty
Yeah,
wild to see him holding all those papers and just going
I know.
from sheet to sheet, just being like, "Look at this, look at this."
I
I
know.
didn't see that clip from earlier today, so
Yeah, yeah. But it is, I mean, and oh, also there was an NBC reporter that immediately after they showed the video of bodies or whatever was in the video that I didn't see, the reporter started to say, "Oh, the Qataris gave you a plane." And then he's like, "How can you look at the video that I just saw and then you're asking me about the plane?" Did you see that part?
it's
And
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
ripped him a new one because you're awful, your network is terrible, you're fake news, all of you are. I just love that so
Well,
much.
and there also has been already reports of CNN, New York Times, all of them kind of debunking what Trump has said. Um, Kind of like
Ugh,
the whole grave thing that we're dealing with here in Canada, how they're trying to say, oh, these are marked grave for like not just white folk, it's for all the people. It's like you guys are missing the whole premise of what he's trying to get at here. People are
yeah,
dying for, you know, whatever political reasons they are, which shouldn't be happening, and it's just happening under this guy's nose, and he's pretending like he doesn't know about it.
that's right. That's right. And the media is doing nothing to help tell the truth. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I mean, I honestly, having worked in there, I don't even know why. But let's move on to some Canadian news now. The latest with Canada Post. Now, Canada Post is kind of a triggering entity, I think, for a lot of people. There are a lot of people in rural communities that obviously rely on Canada Post. People who are more urban or younger, they kind of think, we don't need it. But we do get mail. We still get mail. Um,
Yep.
and Canada Post doesn't they not own Purelator? I mean, first of all, what do you think of Canada Post in general? It's like a staple to me. I don't have a bitterness, but some people do.
Well, full disclosure, I do work for Canada Post.
Okay, perfect.
Most people don't know that, but that is my day job. So,
Yeah,
outside of doing the YouTube videos, I am a postie, as they call it. And yeah, we own about, or the corporation owns about 98% of Purelator. So, um, that's kind of where we get a lot of revenue as well, is because
yeah,
of that parcel sector. But yeah, they are definitely a staple, and the rural communities are getting hit the hardest because once those rural entities close, you then have to travel whatever it is, like another half hour to an hour to the next rural location. And same thing when the postmasters retire, it's up to them to kind of find a replacement. And it's also up to them to actually find the building where they would be distributing the mail. So it's very much all on the community, not so much help from the corporation when it comes to the rural side of things. So when they start to get hit, yeah, it affects a lot of different people.
Right. And there's this thing here from the CBC. Canada Post workers plan Friday walkout after serving strike notice. Union representing 55,000 postal workers agreed to. Oh, I can't read the rest of it. It's so small. But my screen is so small. Agreed to collective agreement talks. Okay, fair enough. Man, if you guys walk out on Friday, there are going to be a lot of unhappy posties because you guys just were on strike in the winter.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that strike, which happened around November, December, actually was put on pause by the government so that they could come to these negotiations for the last 6 months. And they have actually done nothing in terms of actually using that time properly. And so 6 months is up on Thursday. That is essentially when the 6 months is over. So that's why they're allowed to issue the strike notice. If it was up to a lot of us posties, we wouldn't be striking again, but we're not
Right.
allowed to do another vote because we're going off of the previous vote, which was back in October, November of last year. So once we finally get kind of a new collective, they did give a new offer today. So we have to wait to see if our union will accept it. If they don't, then I guess the sad part is I'm actually finding out a lot of this information the same time a lot of the public is finding it out. So last night when I was watching Vashi on CTV and I saw the union rep there and I saw the corporate rep there, I didn't get any of that information from our actual work. I just saw it the same time that most people saw it when they were watching Vashi. So
It's weird, right?
we're kind of left in the dark, which is weird. Yeah.
That is weird. Yeah. Well, I hope it comes to an end and I hope they figure out what they're going to do with the future of Canada Post. I mean, it's not something that I want to see go away because I don't think it can all be, it can't all be courier based and whatever. Right. So I hope they figure it out. I hope they figure it out. Well, we'll keep our eye on it because, a lot of people do need it. And it's a good, well, I don't know. It's just been around for so long. I would hate to see it go. But not
They
everyone.
definitely do.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely do need to change their system. There's no doubt about that. They are still stuck in the whole world of they have the monopoly of delivery, and with letter mail dropping as much as it has, unfortunately, that's not the case.
Right.
They had
Right.
that professor, I forget his name, Lee Evans, I think it is, him talking about how they essentially might have to cut the workforce by like 60 to 70%, which is a huge drop. I don't know if they're going to drastically do that much, but there definitely needs to be something that needs to be changed.
Right. Yeah. They got to look at the business model. Okay. Another thing that needs to be looked at is the budget. Are
Hmm.
you shocked? How do you feel about the fact that the Liberal government is like, no budget. We're not going to bother. Like, forget it. Here they all campaigned on the Carney's the banker. He's the man to take on Trump. He's done none of that. So we know that that's all lip service. But
Hmm.
how much of an impact, does not having a budget have to the rest of the world? Don't other investors look at what we're doing in Canada to decide whether they want to pour money in here? And if we can't put it on the books to be transparent about what we plan on doing, how do we expect anyone to invest in us? A, and B, does this shock you? I think what did you think when you heard this?
Yeah, I mean, if I was a business owner, I definitely would be looking at this as a number one red flag. The fact that, yeah, they ran their whole platform on being the economic giants. Carney has his whole banking background, and uh, Pierre was just some politician. Yet they couldn't even put a budget, even if it is a small budget. Now, the time frame, yeah, sure, they were in the middle of an election, but that has nothing to do with us as the Canadian people. That's not our problem. That's what the Liberals ended up doing. Trudeau, when he prorogued and resigned, the leadership race, all that stuff, that falls onto them. So that shouldn't like obfuscate them from actually having to do their job, especially since they've been off, not actually working per se, for whatever it is since October of last year.
Yeah.
So a small budget, regardless if it's a mini budget or any sort of just, there has to be accountability.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the video this morning. I had a small clip from
Yeah.
what's his name?
Jolie?
Lorne.
Oh, no.
No, from the Toronto Sun,
Yes, I
Lorne.
did see that.
And he's talking about all the excessive spending that they did during the 37 days. Like that, all of that should be accounted for. Like
Those
Pierre
numbers
said,
boggle my mind when he says
oh,
those things. I can't even comprehend that we're wasting that amount of money.
per
And
day.
until per day, something in the trillions or billions. I mean, a
Mhm.
trillion is a number I can't even conceive of. But if you have taken the money and you are wasting that much, then you don't get any more of my money. Like that's it. Like, you don't give your kid more allowance if they've squandered it on candy when they were supposed to be
100%.
buying something else. And that's what the government does with us. And they think we're so stupid that we can accept this. And they don't have any accountability because they seem to do whatever they want. Now, I have this clip of Jolie. I know she's not the Minister of Finance, but she said something so brain dead dumb here on this show. And I have another clip that's going to refute exactly what she says. She says the budget takes time. Let's watch.
There is a view by Pierre Poilievre and others that this does send a signal to investors. You're not laying out what the plan is right now. The most that the Minister Champagne has said is there'll be a fiscal update in the fall. How do you justify this? I mean, I know that there's not a lot of time, but surely there is an opportunity to tell Canadians what the state of Canada's finances are.
I think we need to make sure that Canadians understand what is, what's the state of the economy. I think there can be different formats to do that. Of course, this is a decision by the Minister of Finance, and I'll let him do his job. But I'm convinced that we can find ways to do that.
But you don't think a budget is needed right now?
Well, I think a budget takes a long time to do.
Yeah.
But I think also it's important that we are able to inform Canadians. We are the most economic government in years, and it's a question for us to make sure that not only do we deliver results in terms of the economy, but we're able to inform Canadians and investors.
That didn't even make any sense. We are the most economic. The most
Yeah.
economic what? We're failing. We're poor.
Again, I don't know where she got that idea that we are the most economic government that we've ever been.
Yeah.
When we're just running deficit after deficit after deficit, we blew right through the guardrails that apparently Chrystia Freeland had set up. And now they don't even have a budget, but we're doing the best economically. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, I didn't even understand what I don't even just think that sentence didn't even make sense. But she did say a budget takes time. Well, guess what? A budget does not take time. If they wanted to have a budget, they could have a budget in a day. And the reason I'm going to show you why, but the government has a digital reporting system. And I heard about this on a program called Full Comment that I think it's Brian Lilly's podcast, I think, or it was something called Full Comment. And here he is interviewing an economic professor whose name is Ian Lee. And he was very well versed on all of this. This clip is about a minute and a half. I was going to edit it down more, but it's so good what he's saying. It's just audio, no video, but this refutes everything that the government goes on TV and says about how you put a budget together.
Yes, it can. But let me just go back for a moment so people don't think I'm exaggerating when I said 2 days. People don't realize, I really mean this. I think there's large numbers of people who don't realize how instantaneous everything is. And that's because of something I've talked about a lot with Canada Post, and I'm not changing the subject to Canada Post, but what I call the digitization of everything informational. In the old days, when I grew up, I'm a boomer, file cabinets, physical checks put in an envelope with a little postage stamp. Those days are gone. The entire government of Canada is 100% digitized. So are the banking system and the payment system. So is the remittance of taxes from all the companies across Canada. They don't have a courier take a check once a month to the CRA. The money is transferred electronically, instantaneously. So what I'm trying to say is finance has a model that is based on this digitized information. They have data flowing in, aggregated data from the CRA. I don't mean that they can look at the individual tax return. They've got the aggregate data flowing in by the minute. It's like Walmart. Walmart is most famous for wiring up all of their stores in the mid 80s. It was a Harvard Business School case study. All of their stores are wired up so that in Bentonville, Arkansas, they know how many units of ketchup are being sold at Walmart Billings Bridge, Ottawa at 2 p.m. on May the 16th. That's how real time the data is. The government of Canada has an awesome IT digital reporting system. So that's the first point. They could, when I said 2 days, I'm sure they could produce it if I was the prime minister and said, guys, Mr. Deputy Minister, can you give me a printout on the statement by 5 o'clock this afternoon? I'm sure he could do it.
They could do it instantly. They have all they have all the numbers. They just have to compile it and produce it. They could take, at most they could take a week, and they're going to present something in September, I think, which isn't even going to be a budget. I think, right? Isn't that what Champagne said, Francois Philippe?
Well, now Carney says that again. There with so many people talking about these things, like he has the minister saying one thing and then Carney's coming out and saying another thing. It's kind of hard to keep track, but yeah, essentially Carney did say they were going to put a budget out, a small one. They were also trying to say it didn't really make sense to do it because of how short it would be, but I think Champagne was talking about in the fall, it would be a fall economic statement, not so much the budget. But now, like I said, Carney has said they are going to put a budget. So when they decide to do that, who actually knows?
They can just say whatever they want. They just can say whatever they want.
But that's the guy that I was talking about right there, Lee.
Oh, that's the guy. Yeah.
He was the one saying that Canada Post needs to cut their, pretty much trim the fat. But he's great. He's been on a lot of committees back when I was watching a lot of parliamentary committees. He's a very smart guy. Yeah.
Very smart with economics. Why doesn't he work for the government? Or he used to, but he used to I think work for the Privy Council. Also, he's very experienced, and he's also not in favor of tariffs. I heard him say on that same thing, because tariffs are stupid. I mean, they really are. We are taxing ourselves, with the tariffs on grocery prices and things like that. When we sit there and go, well, you're going to tariff us. Well, we're going to tariff you. And it all just ends up affecting the consumer anyway. But that's a whole other episode. Maybe I could get him on and he could.
That'd be a good idea. That'd be a good episode.
He was really good. He was really good. Another thing that caught my attention in the last couple of days was, I don't know, like the U.S. went and hired all these people. Like we implemented all, RFK, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Elon Musk was the head of Doge, and it was all so exciting. And there seems to be a little fizzle on the sizzle now. It's not the same, Pam Bondi we thought was going to just come and slay everybody, but it's kind of not. It's kind of gone up and down. So we kind of now almost look at these people with a grain of salt. But I thought that what Kash Patel said about the border and fentanyl was very accurate, because that's what I've heard from my digging into what's going on. We do not check all the trucks that come in through the border. You cannot possibly. It is so easy. I had an RCMP officer tell me that. He goes, we don't even have the manpower in place. It's so easy.
Was it Clinton?
No, no, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't Clinton.
No, it was a person. Well, two people that come to my work, because I work. I have a job too, and I was asking them, and two RCMP officers, and one was a longshoreman who's saying we don't check. You cannot possibly check every nook and cranny of every single container that comes in. And so you want a drug run through here. We're so easy. And even if you get caught, the police tell me that your sentence is not going to be like a US sentence. Like you get busted in the States, bye-bye. You get busted here, well, you'll probably be out.
Yeah. With our system, it wouldn't be a problem. That's why Pierre keeps talking about putting all those scanners at the ports and everything, so that they have a little bit more ability to check all these containers, because there's so many that are coming in and out of these ports. They don't have the manpower to check them all.
Well, remember, that's totally right. They don't, even the longshoreman was telling me that they have some scanners and the scanners work, but they don't have enough. They obviously need more. And remember, this guy, I've got a picture of in my computer. This is our drug czar.
I
right?
know. I was
They're-
just about to say, what happened to this guy, this so-called fentanyl czar? We heard about him last year or whatever it was earlier this year. They implemented him, and this guy's just vanished. I have yet to hear anything from him.
I
It's
know
as if
nothing.
fentanyl is no longer a thing because he hasn't been around. I don't know.
Okay, well, he should be fired. Okay,
Yes,
you have
yes.
not done your job. Like, how is it that I got fired for trying to get Global to do their job and these people can have jobs? I always see them in the wrong job. But that guy, what? You see Tom Homan in the US doing all the press and just telling it like it is. This guy
Mhm.
is hiding in a closet scared or something. He looked scared the 1 or 2 times I saw him, like on TV, where he was like,
Yeah,
oh,
he's a former RCMP as well, I believe.
I think so. I think
Yeah. So he got promoted to this fentanyl czar thing, but then Carney and the liberals started going on and on about how fentanyl isn't the actual problem at our borders. Trump is just using this so that he can crush us and take over us. And they started all those scare tactics. And then the fentanyl czar just disappeared. Again, I don't know where this guy's been for the past few months.
Oh, it's pathetic. But here's what Kash Patel had to say on this. So tell me whether or not you agree.
In the first 2-3 months that we've been in the seat under Donald Trump's administration, he has sealed the border. He has stopped border crossings. So where's all the fentanyl coming from still? Where's the trafficking coming from still? Where are all the narco traffickers going to keep bringing this stuff into the country? The northern border. Our adversaries have partnered up with the CCP and others, Russia, Iran, on a variety of different criminal enterprises, and they're going and they're sailing around to Vancouver and coming in by air. And the sheer tyranny of distance of the northern border and the lack of cooperation from federal authorities in prior administrations to actually firm up that northern border is what's causing a continuation of violent crime. Now, we're focused on it, and we're calling our state and local law enforcement partners up there. But you know who has to step in is Canada, because they're making it up there and shipping it down here. And I don't care about getting into this debate about making someone the 51st state or not, but they are our partner in the north. And say what you want about Mexico, but they helped us seal the southern border. The facts speak for themselves. The border that's open, I'll give you a statistic that I gave to Congress that nobody was paying attention to. Over 300 known or suspected terrorists crossed into this country last year illegally. Known or suspected terrorists, not illegals, not just illegals, known or suspected terrorists. 85% of them came in through the northern border.
Through the northern border, 85%. I mean,
Yep.
we have a very long border, obviously, too. There's little scrutiny. The customs and border laws are very lax. These are some notes I wrote. And there are 300 known or suspected terrorists that come through. Drug traffickers, and 85% through the northern border. We have Chinese drug labs and Mexican cartels and super labs. We have all kinds. We're a cornucopia of fentanyl production up here.
Yeah,
But
especially
nobody
BC,
thinks that.
Vancouver. I think a lot of it's coming through there.
Oh yeah, all up in Falkland, like up in the Kamloops area. Like we have them, and it's being created. It's being made here. I think it's a weapon. I think it's a bioweapon in a way. If you are doing something that's going to cause this to people and you're willingly giving it out, you can go to, what do they call them? Dillies. You can get them for free. Like, not
Oh,
fentanyl, but
really?
those dillies, what are they called? Somebody will know in the comments, but a lot of young people, let me see if somebody knows in the comments, die something, whatever it is, like they'll
I'm
give it
not
to you
that
for
young,
free
so
here. Yeah, like, I mean, like,
I don't know if I fall under the young category anymore. So
you are young.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, but it's like the young kids kind of can get them and tweak out on them, or you could sell them for the harder stuff. It's a huge problem here. And we also had drug event. We love drugs in BC. Come here and have all the drugs you want. You can do them on the downtown east
Well,
side,
you got David Eby.
dilute. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here, somebody put this up in the comment. Hydromorphone dilly is 5 times stronger than morphine. Yeah, you kids can get their
Two
hands on
flips.
it.
What's going on? Yes, I see him a lot in the comments, or her.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, but I see them a lot in the comments.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys got David Eby. The BC was very pro all this drug stuff, even without them having all these super labs being found. This is something that Sam Cooper has been reporting on for a very long time, especially in your guys' area,
Mhm.
with all the ports and
Yeah.
lot of the what's it called, the precursor, right, comes from China through your ports and then is made and sold. So yeah, I believe what Cash Patel is saying is correct. I think actually the stats were a little bit higher in terms of the amount of terrorists. I think it was like 600 and something at one point. And again, yeah, high number, like 85% of that was actually coming from the northern border into the US. So yeah, we have to do more, and we do have a very long border, which is the unfortunate part, because Virginia, they complain a lot about people crossing over. There's a lot of the US media covers this a lot more than the Canadian media. And I see it all the time where they have like trail cameras and they show all these illegals trying to cross over. Last year, they announced a lot of these Indian students or whatever, when they were coming in through these fake schools, they would come here, immediately cancel their what's it called? Like
Their work visa or the student visas or
yes, their courses, I guess. They would
oh.
apply for a school, get to Canada, say that they were about to attend their school, cancel it, and then immediately go down and cross the border so that they were in the US. So there's a lot of nonsense going through our borders, and we don't do anything to protect it.
Oh my gosh, I think Canada is going to become, I think, like a testing ground as a country for how to control something and run something into the ground. Like, you know how Ukraine is like I don't even know what you're allowed to talk about on YouTube anymore, but you know how it's almost like a playground. I feel like they're going to shape our country into this testing ground for some sort of domination that we don't want unless Canadians get tough. But Canadians showed that they were so terrified of Donald Trump that they went and voted for this ding dong Carney, who they actually, you think he gave up everything to come in here and make a $400,000 prime minister salary because he loves us? Come on. I think everybody on here watching knows and agrees that, but it's all my friends that just they just don't get that, like the normal friends. Also, one other thing I was going to say, I did an interview on David Creighton's show, and I'm just thinking of this. I just totally talked openly about jabs and things, and I talked about I talked about why is it that Moose on the Loose always says Joffrey? He doesn't say, you know what I'm
He
talking
doesn't say, yeah. It's because of the language. There's certain words or certain terms that you can't use, because you get flagged immediately. Like whether it's YouTube's AI or just the algorithm itself, it will start to suppress. I get a lot of comments where people say, their comments are automatically getting deleted on my videos. I don't delete I don't delete comments. I don't delete if you post a link or anything like that. I'm very much of the mindset I want to talk to people, especially if they have a difference of opinion. And if they say something I don't like, I want to get into that and see what it is, like where they're coming from. There's a lot of people who say that their comments constantly get deleted because they either use a specific word or it's about a specific topic. That's why we have to say the jab. We can't say, the V word. That's why David says the world event instead of saying.
He even says that. I didn't know that I didn't even know that. And so on the David Creighton interview, I said every word you could possibly imagine. I wasn't thinking, and I think I got him into so much trouble because I wasn't thinking. He booked me to go on Victoria Day holiday, 8 a.m. I was barely awake, and I just kept talking.
It was that early?
Yeah, it was early because he's in Ottawa, right? It was funny. But I think I just kind of took the juice right out of his channel that day, and I feel so bad. And then I reposted some of the things that we talked about on my channel. The algorithm was not happy with me. I think I'm not even on here that much, but like where you have to please them.
Like I wouldn't even say you're controversial or you're radical or you're like spewing all this. You're not like an Alex Jones no shade to Alex Jones. I like him, but I'm saying
Mhm.
it's not like that's your type of show. So
Mhm.
just using those words, the fact that we have to get punished in that sense, it's kind of ridiculous.
It's
And
ridiculous.
you know,
Yeah.
they say free speech. It's not really. You have to really kind of cater to what you're trying to get out there. And so I try not to touch too many quote
Mhm.
unquote controversial topics, you know, like
Mhm.
the wars or the conflicts or anything like that. I try to stick to more relevant stuff or the day-to-day political things. But sometimes there's a lot of stories that I do want to cover, and I just was like, is it even worth it? Is the video even going to get out there? Is anybody even going to see it? You know, will it be suppressed? Will it make it? I don't know. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a gamble as well.
It is, yeah, it is, and it hamstrings us a little bit, you know, like, you kinda think, "Oh, you gotta you gotta do the things that move again," because YouTube only cares about what moves in a way. It's just a game. I think I
Yeah.
don't know if people know that, but it is a game, and some people have figured out that game real well, and some people are like, you know, I've not figured it out, but, like, anyway, I'm so glad you joined me today. But anyway, before I go, I have 2 more things to ask you about.
Yep.
I didn't do a story on this, but you did. And what's your take on what's going to happen with the grocery prices? I mean,
Oh
that's also
God.
a tariff thing, right? And it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, from the information that I saw and what they gave us was they basically said they've been kind of monitoring everything. They've been doing what they can with the tariffs. So they, you know, they increased their supply, over kind of purchased what they could, but now their supply is dwindling. And as
Mm,
they're about to re-up or rebuy, they're actually going to get hit with a lot more tariffs. So these guys now have to transfer all of those costs to us. I feel like the government could definitely step in, seeing as
yeah.
they're like we just talked about, they spent so much extra money during the campaign. They could have used that money for something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, these self-imposed tariffs are actually what's affecting us as well. So Carney putting these reciprocal tariffs on certain items, like the orange juice, like the bourbons, and all that kind of stuff. Anybody who does buy that, they are getting hit in the pocketbook. Now you could do the alternatives, and that's what a lot of people are trying to do. Is like they say, buy Canadian, this and that. It is very expensive comparative. Like if you go just for
Mhm.
example, I was buying maple syrup, and the
Mhm.
one that had the Canadian flag on it or whatever they were promoting it as this was
Mhm.
from Canada was say like 16 bucks or 17 bucks. And then the
Oh,
one that was just like a product of Canada or it wasn't fully made here, that
yeah.
one was like 9 bucks.
Oh,
And so you're
wow.
almost paying double the amount
Yeah.
just so that you could say you're buying Canadian. And a lot of people
Ooh.
are not going to even do that. They're just going to say, I don't care. Whatever's the cheaper one, I'm going to buy that one.
True, but don't tell me what to buy. I'll buy what I want to buy.
That
That's
too.
what I don't like. And then, like, I love a Jim Beam. I love a Jack
Mm,
Daniels and Coke, right? When I went to, don't I can't, I don't know, but here's
yeah.
my local liquor store. Actually, I have this in my computer too. This is like the shelf is empty for whatever, but then they have this other one here, buy Canadian. And they took
Mm,
all the American booze off the shelf here, but the taxpayer has already paid for this booze. The BC liquor distribution branch or whatever, we paid for this. So we're
yeah.
sitting here not selling it, and we paid for this. And then this has this trickle on effect to a shopkeeper or somebody who has a small liquor store, a restaurant. You bought, you know, like, I don't know, like, this is stupid. We're just cutting
But it
off our
also takes your
nose.
free choice away. Like you should be able
Yeah.
to buy what you want to buy, regardless of if you believe in the tariffs, if you're against America or whatever, whatever. If that's your personal preference, you should be able to buy it. And you know that they had it in stock. It's not like they cracked them all open
Yeah,
and poured them out. They just tucked them
I
away
know.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So they should have them on the shelves. So if people do want to buy them, they have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and they do it under this phony patriotism. All of a sudden,
Hmm.
buy Canadian. What were you doing all these years? All these years before Trump came along and started wagging his finger. Why didn't we have proper inter-provincial trade? Why didn't we have
Hmm.
all these things? Why weren't we saying buy Canadian? It took Trump. Maybe you should be thanking him for saying that or whatever, you know?
Even on my street,
Mm-hmm.
hanging the Canadian flag for the longest time, you were saw as a crazy right winger right after the convoy thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yet now everybody has their Canada flag up there because they're Canada strong, elbows up, everybody. You know, it's so ridiculous. I mean, it's amazing how Trump has repatriatized everybody,
Yeah.
or whatever the word
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But it's sad that it took him to do that. People should have just been proud to be
That's
Canadian,
right.
to show the flag. There shouldn't have been any negative connotation with it. And the truckers weren't some crazy, you know, loonies. They were people who
Right.
cared about a certain situation, and for them, a lot of us benefited from it.
That's right.
But
And
people don't
yeah.
see it that way.
That's right. And I really, we're going to have to do something like that again, a trucker thing
Mhm.
again. If this starts to get too crazy, and I have a feeling it's going to get crazy. This liberal government that we put back in charge is not for us. That's clear. And we're going to have to start. We did it once before when they went too
Mhm.
far. And I think we're going to have to do it again. But speaking of elbows up, now I have not seen this thing in its entirety, but this, Jann Arden. Now
Yeah.
I mean, I might just play this in a second, but she was a singer, in case anybody doesn't know. I think she was in the 90s or early 2000. She had a big, huge hit song called Insensitive. Which is a slow ballad, whatever. So she's put out this video. I've not seen the whole thing. I think this is a minute long. So let me unmute this and let's
Now,
watch.
Your
I
fellow
will say she has
Yeah.
great music. I do like her catalog of songs.
Which
And
one?
she's got so many. But yeah, Insensitive is
Yeah,
definitely her biggest
it
the
was her
biggest hit.
big hit. And then I can't remember what else she did. I know she had a few songs. What's another one?
I'm not very
Can't
good
think.
with names, but she definitely
Okay.
had
She did have
um
some. Yeah.
Will
And
You Remember Me? I think Good
uh-huh.
Mother.
Okay.
You Don't Know Me.
All right. She always had these sad songs, but the thing is, I think she was kind of funny back in the day. But now she's a total, oh my gosh! Like I didn't watch the whole thing, so let's see what she says. I mean, she's Mrs. Elbows Up, I think.
Mhm.
Hey, Alberta. Hey, you bunch of fucking separatist
Sorry.
wackos.
I didn't know
How you
she
doing?
swore.
Feeling good about yourself? You're an
Neither did I.
embarrassment to this country. Everything you have, everything that you have enjoyed, cherished, and benefited from comes from being part of one of the greatest countries on the planet. You guys have your heads so far up your asses
Ooh.
that you obviously can't see what pricks you are. The way you are treating Indigenous people, the way you are treating
What?
your fellow citizens, your fellow Canadians. You guys are a bunch of creepy little pricks. Alberta will never separate from Canada. It's never going to happen because people like me are going to stand up, throw their shoulders back, and keep fucking yelling.
Ooh, girl.
And keep standing up for what I know is right. And what you guys are doing is...
Oh, you're so tough, Jann.
Yeah,
Too
where
bad.
were you during
Yeah.
everything else that happened in Canada?
That's right. Like whatever. She's all like, she doesn't understand. That just shows you she doesn't get it. She doesn't get that the oil companies, gas companies are affecting jobs, affecting the economy. She doesn't get the
Mhm.
high taxes, the housing, the fact that young Canadian teenagers can't even find jobs flipping burgers because they've been taken by other people. She doesn't get that you were mass in, what's the word I can use?
Jabbed. Yeah.
Jabbed, that, and if you didn't, then you were fired. Is there something that she doesn't get about that? And now Alberta is saying, we've had enough. We want our own autonomy within a united or Canada or however they say it, right? They want to run their province the way that they want to run it. And they're tired of the feds choking them. And if Jann Arden doesn't get that, well, that's a bit insensitive, I would say.
I like what you did there. Well, this is exactly what you're talking about. Our other trucker moment.
Yeah,
It's going to
yeah.
be Alberta. If
Yeah.
this whole thing continues with the Liberals and them not actually, taking off the energy cap or putting pipelines or anything like that, this separatist thing might actually have some legs to stand. Now, do I think me personally, I don't know how much support they are because I don't really think they have a full-time leader of this whole movement. I know
Mm-hmm.
there's different people who have talked about it and are very pro it, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
they have a solid figurehead
Right.
trying to leading the charge. That doesn't mean that they can't within the next, whatever it is, few months or a month or and a bit. But yeah, these people are just, she's going to be in her gated community and not care about any, like, she has no
Mm-hmm.
care in the world. This lady's made her money. She's good. She's
Mm-hmm.
just virtue signaling for the rest of the folks out there that are vote the way she does,
Mm-hmm. But I think she kind of believes it. She believes what she's saying because she's so mad. Like this, I think she
Mm,
thinks it, and she thinks I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say something to these awful separatists. Well, when I never heard her say anything about Quebec. They wanted to separate a long time. Why don't you write a
100%.
song about that? I don't hear her writing about that. I think she could have done that back then. This woman,
Yeah.
yeah. This woman, and how rich can she be? She's Canadian. I don't know. I don't think she ever made it big in the States, but maybe because once that song gets played on the radio in the States, you'll get the royalties,
Mhm. Well, she ain't
But
no Nickelback. I think she has a little bit more standing than them. So
yeah, Nickelback,
yeah,
even they're rich. But
yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Well, Mr. Pie, Michael, thank you so much for joining me on this stream.
You're very
Did you
welcome. I appreciate the invite. Thank you so much.
did you have fun?
I did. I look forward to the next one that we
I do too.
if you'll have me again, this will
I
be
will
awesome.
have you again because actually, because I didn't even advertise it that much. I'm quite impressed. There are 172 people watching right now. I mean,
Well, hello everybody.
and look, I am no pleb, right? One time
Yeah,
I
yeah.
found pleb at the Pierre rally, and then he goes, "Okay, let's talk to the chat. How many people are watching?" And it was like 88 people, and he's like, "Oh." He goes, not many people know I'm on the stream right now. That was really
Yeah.
funny. The poor pleb, he got so depressed he had to leave for a little bit, but we can't wait for him to come back, right? I don't know.
Nope.
We'll
The
wait.
news keeps on moving.
The news keeps on moving, and so do we. People can check out your channel on YouTube. All you have to do is search Portuguese Pie, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
we'll find you. And it was just a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you.
Till
And
next time.
till we meet again. And thank you all for watching. I'm so happy you're able to join. I hope I did this right. I tried to put up as many. Where is the pleb? He after the, because he traveled so much and covered all the rallies, he went to the beach somewhere. So I don't know where he went, but he just took a month and then off, and he said he'd come back in June. So I would like to thank everybody who's watching me. I wonder, do I stay on? Do I leave? Because I don't do this very often. I don't know whether to go. But I'm glad you all enjoyed the show. I'll leave you for now, and I'll try to do something like this every Wednesday live at 5, because I can do that. Wednesdays live at 5. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.